Hello, hello, hello. Good evening. Good evening, my friends. How are you doing? I have a little bit of time tonight. I'm actually sort of in a little bit of negotiations to appear on a fairly large podcast, and I had a nice chat with Free Talk people today. So, yeah, maybe emerging like a gopher hole from the long winter of my banishment. But anyway, I was thinking about women today as husbands and fathers of daughters tend to do. And I was thinking about the women I've known who are broke. And perhaps you know some women who are broke. And I'll, broach this as a topic to start. And then, of course, I'm happy to hear your thoughts on this topic or whatever topic you like. But holy crap, are there ever some broke women? Wow, it's wild. And I've known some. I remember meeting a girl, chatting with her. I chatted with her in the gym. We were both on the bike machine and we happened to be reading the same book. I'm like, hey, twins, book twins. And I ended up taking her out for a coffee and she actually launched into, it's an odd topic, I wouldn't even say it was necessarily a date, but I just remember her launching into this topic about how much in debt she was. And she was $17,000 in debt. Boy, this is back when $17,000. Well, it's still a lot of money, but it was even more money back in the day. And it was an ex-boyfriend who'd run up the debt for her. And boy, can you imagine? Can you imagine getting involved in a relationship with someone and paying off an ex-boyfriend's debt? Oh, oh, oh! My testicles just went back in. So for women, just as you know, right? It's important to know because it's really tragic what's going on for women. Most common causes for debt, and this is America. It's a little America focused. So what do we got? It's student loans, credit card debt, medical expenses. Women borrow a lot to go into higher education. A lot to go into higher education. 31,700 US on average. What's that? 48,000 Canadian. It's a nice car, right? So they go into debt more and they take longer to pay off these loans compared to men. And that, of course, is partly because they don't earn as much because women go into fields that are people-based. And men go into fields that are object or thing-based. And the basic reality is that things make more than people because people are hourly and things are not hourly, right? So black women actually have the highest student loan debt and have additional interest and lower earnings and so on. Except Kevin Samuels was sort of railing about this back in the day. So it's number one is student loan debt. Oh, man, it's rough. It's rough. And I think it's actually extremely predatory and horrifying that, 17, 18-year-old young people, halfway between childhood and adulthood, that they are encouraged to go into these huge loans for economically very dubious degrees. Of course, this all goes back to the fact that you can't just apply an IQ test. Just administer an IQ test, and it will tell you with greater accuracy than any other single metric how competent people are at complicated jobs. When I was a hiring manager, I realized, like, it's really annoying as a hiring manager. Grades mean nothing. Like, I interviewed like 1,000 people over the course of my career and hired about 100. So I'm pretty experienced in this area. Grades started to mean nothing. Grade inflation was a big thing, and trying to make everyone think fair and equal was kind of a big thing. So grades began to mean less and less the longer I was in the business world. So I, in fact, just started giving people an intelligence test. This is what I did back in the day. I just gave people and that was fantastic. Everyone who did well on that intelligence test worked out in the business, like every single. It was way better than anything else we ever came up with. So this is sort of one of the things that got me going down the path of IQ. As I got tired of people just being, they've got great marks, they give a good interview, but they can't think, they can't code, they can't reason through problems. You got to hold their hand like pieces of string. They move if you push them. You stop pushing them, they stop moving. Like, I just need people who can think for themselves. And there was nothing better than just a little intelligence test. It's fantastic. So yeah, we got student loan, credit card debt. Credit card debt's a big deal. It's the second largest or most frequent source of debt. Women are much more likely than men to say credit card debt is a financial regret. Women like to spend. Women like to spend. And listen, this is no disrespect to women. I mean, it's funny, you know. You criticize people you care about. If you've ever been on a sports team or been in a sports team, you criticize the people with potential. The people who just are bad, and you don't criticize them because you know that they're not going to be any good. I remember when my friends and I used to play pickup, where we played pickup soccer on Saturdays and pickup baseball on Sundays. And when a good player made a bad shot, it was frustrating. But I still remember his name. He actually later became an accountant, sort of kind of a cliche. Just hopeless. You know, it's the kind of like he just swings wildly, doesn't hit the ball, kicks wildly, doesn't hit the soccer ball. And so nobody got frustrated when he played badly because, you know, it was just a pickup game and he was a nice guy. So he was a friend. So you give feedback and coaching to people, not as a sign of disrespect, but as a sign of respect. The best coaches pour the most effort and correction into the best athletes. So it's funny how a lot of people, I guess women, experience criticism as a put down. It's a sign of respect. It's a sign of respect. It means you can do better, right? So women like to spend, and that's a good thing. It's a good thing. Men, there'd be like almost no economy if men were in charge, because we'd have our air mattress on the ground. We'd put the TV on the box it came from, and maybe we'd have a Bluetooth speaker, and maybe we'd use part of the other box to create, quote, curtains to block out the light. So with men, there'd be no malls, there'd be no real spending. And, you know, you need the pretty things. You know, my wife, I don't know, like every family has these kinds of divisions, right? And I think a pretty common one in families is, why do we need a dining room? Because we eat at the kitchen table, right? It was just the three of us, right? So we eat at the kitchen table. But my wife is like, we need a dining room. And she gets this kind of low, it's like quite a growl. It's like, you know, when you're walking and there's a dog growling and you're not scared, but you're kind of cautious. So my wife's like, we need a dining room. Actually, it's deeper than that, but we need a dining room. Yes, Satan. We need a dining room. And I'm like, but, you know, I mean, we have people over, but, you know, we can all. And she's like, do not say we could sit on our laps. She doesn't sound like James Earl Jones. It's just kind of funny for me to think that way. But she's like, we need a dining room. I'm like, okay. And we need a chandelier. I'm like, come on. Dining room, okay. Chandelier? Why? Right? Anyway, so I come down in the morning and I get up earlier than her sometimes. So I come down in the morning and the sun's coming in through the windows. And the first thing I see coming down the stairs is the sun hits the chandelier in the dining room, and it's beautiful. It's like the northern lights in there. It's like being inside Gene Simmons' Disco Brain. It's just fantastic. Beautiful. And we do have people over, and we do use the dining room, and it's really, really nice. Especially when we have a lot of people over, it's really nice. And I'm not one of these people, like if I'm wrong in the marriage, I'm like, yep, you're right. Hey, you know, this is beautiful. This is beautiful. For me, you know, maybe if you grew up poor like me, you don't like to spend money. I don't particularly like to spend money. I mean, I'll lavish it on the show. You know, audio quality is kind of my fetish. But I don't like to spend money. I like to save money, and I like to pay things down as quickly as possible. But I don't like to spend money. And so it's like, well, why do we need this long table? Why does our cutlery have to match? Why do the plates have to match? It's functional. It's functional. Now, I made the mistake many years ago of telling my wife about my friend. Let's just call him Bob. It's not his real name. My friend Bob. Oh, Bob. So Bob was Scottish, God help him. And Scottish people are notorious for being skinflints. Aye, skinflints. And Bob, you know, back in the day, junior high school, we all wanted Adidas bags, right? ADIDAS, all day I dream about sex. But it's Adidas bags were the cool things to have, are these giant, humongous binders with Velcro fold overs and 11 spaces for your pens and erasers and stuff like that. And I mean, my family couldn't afford an Adidas bag, but I got something. I can't remember what it was. It was probably an old gym bag or something like that. And my friend Bob being Scottish, what did he do with his books and papers and pencils? He put them into plastic bags that his mother got from the grocery store. Yes, yes, yes. It's shocking. It's kind of appalling looking back on it. And even I, who didn't have much of a social sense of status or hierarchy or something like that, even I was like, ooh, Bob, I'm not entirely positive that's a good idea. And he's like, they're free. It's like, yeah, but free things can sometimes cost you quite a lot. Free things can sometimes, just ask people about Obamacare, right? Free things can cost you quite a lot. And it's like, because it turns out that not only did Bob save money on not buying an Adidas bag or his family, but he also saved money on dating because, no girls would date him. And it's practical and bad. It's practical and it's bad. And it feels impractical to get a dining room, but it's beautiful. And she's right. So I tell her she's right. So when I say, do we really need to spend money on this? She's like, remember Bob at the grocery bags? I'm like, yeah, you kind of got a point. So it's good that women spend money, but the women's drive to spend money should be balanced by men's desire to hoard everything. Don't spend 7 years of winter, just store your nuts for the winter until they're the size of a Kenyan molehill. So it's good that women want to spend money. It needs to be balanced by men saying no, right? Because there are times when women's spending is excessive. My wife is not a spender. She spends on things that actually make sense. Like I live in this beautiful paradise of girly world. It's like beautiful and wonderful, amazing. Where I used to live, I had a balcony, and the balcony, of course, when it rains, the rain gathers on the balcony, and there's a plug it got clogged, right? The plug to drain away the water from the balcony. So I basically had a little bit of Amazonian swampland on my balcony, and it got so alarming that I didn't want to go in and figure out what was going on with the plug. So I just didn't use the balcony. I actually think there were alligators in there at one point. I'm not sure about that. Some Mayan ruins, I think some child sacrifice. It was intense, man. So credit card debt, medical debt is a big deal. Women use the healthcare system more than men. Maybe that's why they last longer. I don't know, but it is pretty rough. And so this is why when you get women voting, you get socialized medicine, old age pensions, all that kind of stuff, welfare, child support, because that's what women spend money on. Well, normally it's what their husbands will spend money on, but of course a lot of women have decided to go it alone. Stress from non-collateralized debt like payday loans, credit cards, student loans, disproportionately high among women. So, yeah, it's rough. Now, another thing that costs women a lot is divorce. And it's hard for people to comprehend. And I'm sorry, I know this is a very smart audience, and I'll take your questions in just a sec. I don't want it to be the big giant monologue, and I'm pretty happy to hear people's thoughts. But what does a divorce cost? Oh, man. Incalculable, but we'll do the calculations that exist. So legal costs, court costs, what are we talking about? 10 grand to 15 grand. It depends on the state, depends how complex things are, but 10 grand to 15 grand to divorce. A little more if there's kids and alimony and so on, right? If there's a bitter fight, boy, that's way too common, right? If there's a bitter fight, the total can reach 100,000 or go even higher than that. Now, that's just the tip of the iceberg, though. The Titanic can survive an ice cube, right? But it gets bigger, right? Household income drops 40 to 50% for families with children. About half of families who divorce may experience poverty after the separation. The household income for women drops about 41% after divorce, about 23% for men. What does this do? It limits your savings, it limits your assets growth, and it limits your retirement stability. So, what happens? Well, you've got to run 2 households instead of 1. You got childcare, therapy sessions for families with kids. You lose access to shared healthcare. You lose access to married couples shared tax benefits. That kills more of your disposable income. Retirement accounts and other assets are often split down the middle, and that screws up your long-term wealth accumulation. So it's wild. So what are the long-term effects of the income loss after divorce if there are kids involved. Typical household sees its income drop by half immediately, even after the sort of shock of divorce and the readjustment of divorce and the expense. Even after that, it's about 30% below pre-divorce levels for at least a decade. So it drops by half right away. It remains 30% below the pre-divorce levels for at least a decade. Children who experience parental divorce before the age of 6 earn on average 9 to 13% less as adults compared to people whose parents did not divorce. Now, of course, there's lower IQ people have a tough time resolving conflicts and differences. So lower IQ means higher divorce. Lower IQ means lower income. So I assume that they have adjusted for those variables. So I assume everything else. Like, so if you're going to get divorced and your kids are little, you're going to hit them with 9 to 13% less earnings as adults. So what happened? Average pre-divorce annual household income, $90,000 to $100,000. Average pre-divorce annual household income, right? Husband and wife, $90,000 to $100,000. Post-divorce household income, $42,000. Less than half, right? Half of 90 be 45,000, half 100, of course, 50, 42. A decade later, it still remained 30% below its original level. Custodial mothers often see their income drop by 30 to 50%. Of course, a lot of times you're in the suburbs, you do the asset mitosis, you take the axe down the middle of the assets, you have to relocate to lower income neighborhoods. That puts your children into rougher schools, often with more violence and bullying. It's rough. And of course, kids of divorce, increased risks of teen pregnancy, incarceration, poverty, all of that. All of that. So the lifetime cost of a divorce involving children, right? Running 2 households, all the other expenses. For a middle-class family, this is just over several decades, not a whole lifetime, $300,000 to $500,000. $300,000 to $500,000. I mean, that's legal costs, court costs, moving costs, double living expenses, increased childcare, duplicated household goods, lost income, all the lost tax advantages. Boom! $300,000 to $500,000. You got new insurance. You got insured 2 cars, right? Refinancing. Crazy. After divorce, your monthly expenses are going to climb by 30 to 50% because the costs that used to be shared, right? Mortgages, utilities, insurance, groceries, internets, are now paid twice. And typical middle-class family, this is an extra 20 to 30,000 per year per household. Duplicated costs, lost discounts. Now, that's after-tax income, bros and sisters. Brothers and sisters, pump up the volume. This is after-tax income. So if you're being taxed at 50%, that's $40,000 to $60,000 a year, right? I mean, you're probably not being taxed at 50%, but 40%, 30%, it's a lot. So you gotta pay all that after taxes. Household income, as I said, drops 40 to 50%, never really fully recovers for families with kids. Parents, especially custodial mothers, may lose $500,000 or more in combined future earning power, retirement savings, child-related tax deductions over a lifetime. Easily get to or surpass $500,000 for the average family. Now, women initiate almost 70%, between 69 and 70% of divorces. So there are about 672,000 divorces every year in the U.S. If each divorce with children costs $400,000, remember that's the midpoint between the $300,000 and the $500,000, that is $268 billion lost in a single year. Let's look over a 20-year period. That's several $1 trillion in lost national wealth. It's wrecking the economy. Wrecking the economy. Women are costing $187 billion a year to the economy, men $81 billion. Women at 70% initiating divorce, men at 30%. Oh, just horrendous. Trillions and trillions of dollars. Wasted, lost, destroyed, wrecked. It's a disaster. It's a disaster. What are the estimated costs to the economy of women not having children? Because women, of course, and we're just talking about women as men too, right? But women don't want to have kids. And yet, women want big old retirement benefits that go on and on and on and on. It reduces the future labor force, shrinks the income tax base and consumer demand, Each state's billions are lost annually in revenue over the decades. Women who have children, of course, there's lifetime wage penalties, but that's more than made up for by the increased earnings of their husbands. And so if women don't have children, this is why governments love it, right? Governments love telling women not to have children. Because if women don't have children, what happens in the short run? Because remember, politicians are thinking about the next 5 minutes, if they're lucky, like the average teenage boy. Who's kidding who? 3 minutes. So if politicians can convince women to not have children, well, look at that. Women get to stay in the workforce. Women get to pay their taxes. Women get to contribute to the economy. Women buy more stuff. Right? To keep the modern consumer economy going, you basically have to take trillions of dollars away from men and give it to women. Could you imagine if most of the money stayed in the hands of the men? What would happen to malls in about 8 minutes? So you all go out into the workforce, pay your taxes. And by not having children, children are a cost to the government, right? I mean, particularly if you have socialized medicine, because more doctor visits, you got child care, you got to provide daycare, women take time off, education, schools. It's expensive. It's expensive for the government if you have children. So women have kids, they drop out of the workforce, lower tax revenue. They have kids, higher costs for governments. I mean, there's no business alive, not that government is a business, but there's no business alive that works very hard to reduce its income and increase its expenses, which is exactly what having children does. Now, of course, the big problem, if the people don't have children, is that the economy dies. I mean, short term, it's like cocaine, right? Hey, I'm happy. Hey, I don't have a nose or a job or a kidney. So the problem is that there's no tax base for the retirement. But what do they care? I mean, politicians, especially in America, it's kind of all over the place, but especially America, politicians are freaking crypt keepers these days. Politicians, they're so old. Why are you so old? Should not have old people running things. They don't have the same time windows. They're so old. So the politicians who are convincing women to not have children, they're going to be dead 60 years by the time, or 50 years by the time the retirement problem rolls around, where there isn't enough of a tax base to pay for the retirement. They don't care. What would it matter to them? That's why statism is anti-life. The birth rates are falling all across the world. Of course they are. Of course they are. Because falling birth rates props up government income and reduces government expenditures. So governments will push antinatalism. For reasons of ethnic and religious hostility, particularly to white Christians, all that sort of stuff. But, there's a sort of more pragmatic, basic reality of wanting to reduce costs and increase income. That's what governments do. If there was a baby boom, governments would collapse. They don't have the money for it. Not even close. If there was a domestic baby boom. Now, if you import people, that's a different matter. If you import adults, boom, straight into the workforce. Boom, straight into paying taxes. Boom, straight into productivity. You don't have this icky having to pay for kids for more than a decade and a half before they can produce economic value. Now, I get it. I know in Europe, of course, a lot of the immigrants aren't working. So I understand that there's a weakness to that hypothesis, but the situation in Europe is quite a bit different for reasons I've sort of talked about before. And we can talk about them again, but I don't want to bore people with repetition, at least too much. So, of course, governments have an incentive to bring people in who can work right away. Of course. Why would you want people having kids? As a politician, if you were to promote pro-natalist policies, you'd have to raise tax rates, you'd have to cut spending in every other area, and you wouldn't live to see any of the economic benefits because they're 15 plus years down the road. Because you got women dropping out of the workforce to raise their kids if you're pro-natalist, and you've got way more expenses because of kids. So yeah, women are kind of broke. And a lot of it is the doing of women. And see, I say this not out of any hostility or negative views towards women at all. When I was a kid, there was, and this is a British thing, maybe it happens in other places as well. You're certainly welcome to tell me. But when I was a kid, man, just about the worst insult that you could get was if there was somebody who was verbally harsh, like a trash talker, and then somebody burnt them back and they got all sucky. But, oh, you can dish it out, but you can't take it. Oh, how do you like a taste of your own medicine, right? The kid who pushed other kids around and then some kid shoved him back and runs to the teacher. You can dish it out, but you can't take it. Now, ladies, come on. Let's be fair here. Let's be fair. I mean, my whole life, men have been bitched at and ragged on, put down, insulted. It's crazy. I mean, women think that there's a patriarchy because they genuinely don't see average or below average men. They barely exist to them. They're like, they have the same consciousness, impact on the consciousness of women as Clippy did to an experienced word processor. Oh, that damn thing. Get Clippy out of here. So men have been ragged on and criticized my whole life. And I think some of it's unfair. Some of it's fair, for sure. Men have their faults. We need to work on our faults, for sure. But this is the wild thing, right? Don't dish it out if you can't take it. Ladies, come on. If you can dish out endless criticism of men, oh, the patriarchy, oh, rape culture, oh, #MeToo, oh, mansplaining, oh, emotionally unavailable, oh, semi-autistic, oh, disruptive, oh, loud, noisy, smelly, hoarding all of the good jobs for yourself, like the loggers and the construction workers and all the men who die regularly on the workforce. 95% or so of workplace deaths are men, because it's kind of tough to die in a nice air-conditioned office. But men have been criticized, eye-rolled, ragged on, and not just, personally in the media, everything, right? Women are always smarter. If there's a brother and a sister, the sister always has to be smarter. If there's a husband and a wife, the husband always has to be a goof, and the wife always has to be wise and long-suffering. And so we've been listening to this shit I'm pushing 60. It's a long time. Long time. Hey, women can be slightly less responsible at managing money. Misogyny! Oh my God! How dare you quote facts? You must hate women! Oh my gosh. Oh my, hey, if you're gonna nag men for 60 years, maybe don't get all hysterical if a man points out some slight deficiencies among many women. I mean, maybe. Because it makes you all look like bullies. No, it's a one-way street. Men, we put you down. You don't have anything to say about us. Misogyny. You tempt more men with misogyny by how you react to criticism than anything that men criticize you for. All right. I'm happy to take your questions and calls and comments. And yeah, if you listen, and if ladies, if you want men to not criticize women, that's fine. Then stop criticizing men. Like that female geologist, men are all the same. All right. Thomas, if you want to lead us to wisdom, I am happy to be your willing goat slave. What's on your mind, my friend? Don't forget to unmute, and thank you for your patience. Hello. Yes, go ahead.
Have with my family. Is it okay to share it in this podcast, in this
It is.
radio
It is
show?
your topic, brother. Whatever's on your mind, I'm happy to facilitate.
Well, thank you. Let me share a little bit of my story first. I think I did pretty well at school from the beginning. So I entered a pretty good university here in Chile. I studied engineering for 5 years. Then I dropped out.
Then I went. How long does it take to become an engineer in Chile?
Here, 6 years. It's pretty long.
What happened?
Pretty long. When I was actually 2.5 years away from graduating. I guess I was always the smart guy, but I didn't put a lot of effort because I didn't need to put a lot of effort in school. So I just went into university. It was pretty high level, and it took me a while to get into the rhythm of it, and then I don't know, I just went into computer software engineering. I didn't like it, and I dropped out. I didn't. I'm not sure. I didn't like it. I'm not. I'm still not sure about that. Um.
So was it
Anyways,
sort of like the curse? Sorry, was it sort of like the curse of the guy who's fantastic at high school that he thinks it's all going to stay easy?
I guess so. I guess so because I never got challenged before university.
Okay, got it. All right, so go on.
So after that, the next year, I changed it to nutrition, and I managed to finish that degree. 5 years it took me, and
So
after
you were
that, I
10
went.
years in school and you came out with a degree in nutrition.
Yes, sir, and it
All
gets
right.
worse than that.
Who was paying for all of this?
My family, my
Really?
mother is mostly. Yeah,
But why?
yeah. I see it clearly now. It shouldn't be,
No,
but
no, I'm not. Look, for you, I mean, you're a young man and you're having fun in school or you're enjoying yourself in school. I mean, I mean, if you were my son, I'd be like, hey, man, I'm paying for a couple of years of school. Great, but if you decide not to finish, you're on your own.
well, I do suspect this because I am an only child, and my mother has always been overprotecting me, so that might be some of it.
Okay,
That's
so you live a kind of consequence-free life. At least you did when you were younger.
I did when I was younger. I noticed that when I was 24 years old. I'm almost 32 now.
Uh-huh.
So I took small steps, and I've been taking steps to solve that situation for 8 years now. Uh,
And how much did she spend on your education, do you think?
mm, Maybe around $20,000, but it's
No,
obviously
no, no, no,
it's
not over 10. Are you saying she spent $2,000 a year? Come on, man.
20,000,
No, you
20,000.
said, I said, how much did she spend on your education? You said you're in school for 10 years, right?
Yeah,
You can't say, you mean 20,000 a year?
no, in total.
How, you can't live on $2,000 a year, bro. And with tuition and books and come on.
I don't know. I live in Chile. That might be what it's different here. But
You were an engineer. It means you're good at math, right?
yeah, I'm good at math.
Okay. So what did it cost you? I mean, did she just pay all the bills and you didn't pay any? Like, do you have no idea how much it costs? It's not $2,000 a year to go to
So let
university.
so let's break it down. Um, so engineering was for yeah, it was $200. No, sorry, $500 each month, and you had to
Okay, so
pay
we're all
10.
sorry, $500 each month, right? So we're already at 6 grand. You said 2 grand.
I said 20.
No, you said 20 in total. I'm asking how much did it cost in total for 10 years?
So 500 times 10 for a year, that will be 5,000. But then my father paid half of it when I was in engineering. And the nutrition degree was a little bit cheaper than the engineering one. So that was around $20,000 that my mom paid. My dad paid a little bit of it when I was in engineering.
And did you live at home?
Yes.
Okay. So there's cost there too, right?
Yes, that's an extra that I didn't take into account. I'm just taking into account the university cost.
Okay.
But maybe that's why, because culture here is a little bit different than in the US. You're expected to live with your family while you're studying.
Well, yeah, but
That's
not for
that's
10 years.
it's yeah, that's the situation at least. Yeah.
Okay. So are you saying that it was um $5,000 a year to do your education?
In engineering, and then let's say 350, 300, 3,500 a year for nutrition.
Okay, but then there's also shelter. I know that your parents are paying, but the room they could use for something else. You had a cell phone. There's internet access that has to be paid for. There's healthcare or insurance or dentistry, like all the stuff that you'd have at a job, you're paying for yourself. That your parents have to pay for, right?
Yes, sir.
The cost to attend engineering school in Chile, $3,000 to $9,000 tuition fees. You said $5,000, right?
Yes.
Okay.
That was 10 years ago.
What about books?
I just pirated them. I didn't buy many books.
Okay, so let's say that it's 10 grand a year. That's a low estimate because 5 grand of that is, we're talking US, right? So it's 10 grand a year. So $100,000 they sunk into your education.
It could be, yeah.
I mean, that's not out of bounds, right? That's within the realm of possibility.
If you take into account shelter, food, medicine,
Well, that's nothing.
all that.
I'm like you. You go to university 10 months of the year, right? So it's $500 a month for tuition. I'm only doing another $500 a month for everything else. It's way more than that, but let's just say, right?
Right.
So
Yes.
so that's 10 grand a year, 10 years, that's 100,000. And it's obviously much more than that because there's nobody who lives on $500 a month, right?
Well, that's the minimum pay here.
Well, okay, let me put it to you this way. There's nobody who lived in the style that you lived in for $500 a month, right?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. I mean, maybe if you're living in some roach-infested barrio, that might be a different matter, but I bet you weren't.
I wouldn't consider myself to be upper class. It's upper middle class, maybe.
Does that mean a roach-infested barrio or not?
No, not at all.
Okay, that's all I'm saying. All right. Okay, so your parents dropped a minimum 100,000 US on your education. That's about $140,000 Canadian. What is a house cost in Chile?
Nowadays, a lot more. Those days, it was maybe around. Let me do the conversion. It's pretty rough. $60,000. Maybe today it'll be more than $100,000.
Okay, so basically over the course of your education, your parents paid for 2 houses for you to be educated.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah,
How do you feel about that?
it's rough. It's rough. It made me fall into, I would say, maybe depression when I figured this out. I was around the time I left engineering. It was when I was 24 years old, and it revealed to myself, and I found out that I was being overprotected. I was being nurtured into something that I didn't want to be. So it was pretty rough. It was a rough year.
Right. And how old were you when you finally graduated with the nutrition degree?
I was 28 years old.
Okay, got it. All right, so I appreciate that backstory. I'm sorry that it sounds like a distraction. It probably won't be, but what are the issues that you're having with your family?
So after I completed my nutrition degree, I went to travel to Germany. I studied so 2 more years in university there. I went to study
You're
a
killing me.
math.
What are you talking about? What
That's
are you
my story,
talking
man.
about? After
That's my
your parents paid for this?
No. I worked there, and it went into even coast.
Sorry, it went into okay. So you worked in Germany, and what did you study in Germany?
A master's degree on nutrition, in the nutrition topic. It
Okay,
was called Global Food, Nutrition, and Health.
all right. And then
And then my girlfriend went to visit me there in Germany, and she got pregnant.
she
And then
got pregnant. Oh no! Did you catch the guy?
ah
Holy shit! That's terrible. My God, was it a migrant? What happened? She got pregnant?
yeah.
Did the baby walk on water? Help me understand. She got pregnant?
That's funny, man. No, I that's true. I got her pregnant.
Do not shake her hand after you masturbate. Anyway, go on.
Thank you, man. I thank you for the advice. I got her pregnant, and I flew back to Chile. So I'm in Chile now. I Uh, I got a baby daughter. I got here when she was 2 months old, and I've
Wait,
been
what? So
here.
hang on. You sent your pregnant girlfriend back to Chile,
I
right?
ha- I had nothing to do because the visa was only for 3 months. I don't have citizenship or anything. I just had a study visa, so she had to go back.
Sorry,
So
your girlfriend is from Chile, right?
yes,
So you had unprotected sex in a foreign country where she has no visa.
yes.
But why?
I don't know, man. I don't know. I
What do you mean you don't know? You had unprotected sex, right?
yeah.
Okay. Why?
It felt right.
Well, it
It
always
felt
feels
like.
right. Of course it feels right. That's why we don't do it. Cocaine feels right as well. Anyway, okay, go on.
Sorry, I can hear you now.
Yeah. So, but why?
Um.
I mean, did she
So
know? I mean, she participated in this, right?
yes. So she's a little bit older than me. She's 34 years old now, and we wanted to have a big family actually, or at least a family. So we figured out that it's getting late for her, so we had
And
to
sorry,
rush
how
it
long?
a little
Sorry to
bit.
interrupt. How long have you been? How long had you been going out when you knocked her up? Oh, are we still on?
Yes, I'm here.
Yes. Sorry, how old were you um, when you got her pregnant?
30 years old.
30 years old. So you're 30, she's 34. And how long have you been going out?
2 years.
2 years. Okay. So you have unprotected sex and she's keen on this too. Like, was it a plan or was it just oh, sorry, I forgot to pull that.
No, it was like non. We didn't speak about it, but we both knew that it could happen. So we kind of both agreed on it.
Okay. All right. And you said, so she went back to Chile and you stayed in Germany to finish your degree. Is that right?
Yes, I finished my courses and then I flew back to Chile. I arrived here on March, end of March,
Uh-huh.
and then and then she got pregnant again.
Oh, God. Was it the same stalker as in Germany or a different stalker?
Oh man, I need to change my phrases now. No, it was the same guy. It was a guy named Tomas. It was me. I
That
Yeah, I
stalker in
got
the
the
mirror, he's going to get you, man, every time. Now, have you married the woman?
no sir, but I plan to. But I'm
You
waiting
plan to.
to.
Why haven't you
Yes,
married her? You give her two babies. Why haven't you married her?
just because I want to be in a better financial position to do that.
Sorry, what does that mean? Just get your parents to pay for the marriage.
Nah, I don't want to because I feel guilty of them having paid so much already. I want to
Hang
stand for
on,
my
hang on.
own.
Are your parents traditional or religious?
Well, they are. I should have say that from the beginning. My mother is a single mother. They got separated when I was 3 years old,
They got
and
separated. You'd use a lot of passive phrases, man.
yeah, well, that's another story. But yeah, they're not very traditional. Well, my mother a little bit more. She's kind of religious. She doesn't attend church really, but she believes firmly on Christianity and maybe some esoteric things as well. But yes,
Okay. So, do your parents want you to be married?
no, they don't push me towards it.
No, but do they want you to be married? I'd say push you, but do they want to?
We've never talked about it. It's not a topic, so I guess it's also not that important for them.
So you've got one baby, another baby on the way, and you've never talked to your parents about marriage.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. I think I understand. I think and does your girlfriend, the mother of your child and a half, does she want to get married?
Yes, and I also
Okay.
want.
So somebody's got some decisiveness. And when did she first mention that she wants to get married?
Hmm. We've talked about it, and I've always agreed with her that I want to also get married. She's been telling me that a little bit more now that we have our first daughter, and now our second on the way. And yeah, I also want to get married. I even have I'm I don't know. I feel like I owe her to the family.
Uh huh.
So the issue I so my family didn't take very well at first when I told them that my I was going to have a baby, the first one, but they
Why
accepted
did
it
they? Because it was unplanned, or why did they not like it?
because I'm they don't talk to me directly. I It's my aunt and my mother, and I guess because I wasn't in a strong financial position, I'm still
Okay.
not.
Okay.
And yeah, the same with my father. And the issue I have now is that I I recently told my aunt, she's like the closest to my family outside from my parents, that I'm going to have a second son now.
Yeah.
And yeah, she didn't take it very well. She didn't even ask anything about the pregnancy, but it's okay. But then this is the thing that bothers me now, and I don't know how to take it. Maybe you can give me some advice. I haven't told my father, and I a few minutes ago I had a conversation with him, and I know that he's not going to take it well.
Now, sorry, what
Um,
was your father's opinion about the first child, your daughter?
it was a shock for him. He had maybe a week that he didn't really talk to me.
Huh.
And then he accepted it slowly, but still like, what's going to happen? Like chaos, I would say.
Okay. All right.
So I know my life is messy, man, but I don't know. I'm trying to make it work. I wanted a family. I know that if I want to be with my girlfriend, I don't have a lot of time to make it work because of age. And I don't know, man. I am surely doing a lot of things wrong, but am I on the right way? What am I doing here?
Well, what is the outcome that you want? What is it that would be best for you? What would be your ideal outcome?
I want to be financially stable. I think that that'll let me stabilize my situation and then show everyone that I'm capable of doing this thing.
Okay, so is your advice, are you asking for advice on how to become financially stable, or how can I best help you?
I I want to know if my mindset is on the right place. Because I have doubts. When I had this conversation with my father now, he made me doubt doubt a little bit everything because uh I don't know. He wants me to finish my degree, my master's degree, as soon as I can because I haven't finished the thesis yet. Um, and follow the traditional way of getting a job somewhere. But maybe I want. I've been trying recently to be an entrepreneur and getting my own patients as a nutritionist. Uh, and I'm focusing on that. So I don't know, man. I'm trying not to have doubts about my what I want to do because if I doubt it, then it would lead me nowhere. But I don't know. It felt like I have doubts about everything all my life, and I'm trying to focus now and really put all my efforts all my eggs into one basket and trying to get it work. I've always felt like I had so much potential, and I've never done anything with it.
Hmm. How close are you to finishing your master's?
I have to do the thesis and I have to do an internship, and that's it.
Okay. Does that answer my question in any way that makes sense to me?
So, sorry. The internship is it should be around 2 3 months, and for the thesis, I have to send an email to my professor, and I guess it would take me around a semester maybe to finish it, if not a little
So
more.
less than a year, right?
If everything goes right, yes.
And what are you guys living on at the moment?
So I have a few patients, She's also receiving some money from the government. Not a lot, maybe like $40 a month.
Okay.
And my mother is helping with the rest.
Okay. So how much is your mother giving you a month?
Maybe around 300.
Okay. So you got $40 from the government. Your mother's giving you 300, and you're making up the rest with your patients or your clients, right?
Yes.
Okay. So is that enough for you to live on?
Clearly not, because I should be receiving zero from my mother. I'm also
Well, I mean,
living in an
40 bucks a
apartment that
month is not,
she owns.
it's not, yeah, 40 bucks a month. I know it's Chile, but it's still not, it's not make or break, right?
Yeah, it's nothing practically.
Okay. All right. So you must be, I mean, how much are you getting from your clients a month?
In this month, 100.
What? Are
I
you still
because
you still living with your mom, right?
yes, I just started with this new project, and I'm getting 100 a month.
Okay. All right. So your living expenses are taken care of. How much do you need to live reasonably comfortably? I mean, nobody's talking about massive wealth. How much do you need for a wife and two kids to live on your own, let's say an apartment in a reasonable neighborhood?
Hmm. The very minimum, like the very minimum, should be 1,000, maybe a little bit more than 1,000, but around 1,000.
Okay, $1,000 a month. Okay,
Yes.
that's pretty wild. About how much is rent?
300. I live in the capital city, so it's a little bit more expensive.
Yeah, it's wild. You know, in the rest of like in North America, well, in Canada and the U.S., like people like they don't know how much they're getting ripped off as a whole. Like it's insane. You know, it's
Hmm.
insane. A friend of mine's kid renting an apartment in a fairly small town. It's like $2,000 a month for a one bedroom. It's absolutely mental how expensive everything is. What a ripoff it all is. It's all just horrible and crazy and strange. But okay, so you got $300. We'll get you a comfortable apartment. How much do you need to spend on food every month for you and your wife and your two kids?
Uh, 200, 250. 200
Okay,
if I, yeah, 200.
okay. And have you worked out incidental expenses? You know, the hydro, if that's separate, entertainment budget, and you know, healthcare, dental, insurance. You've got to have insurance if you're a father, right? And you know, just all the other things that kind of accumulate, clothing and so on. Have you, or you know, travel if you need a car or bus or something like that? I mean, you can get all of that in for 1,000 a month.
I guess so. Yeah, I think it the 500 that is left should cover all of it.
Okay, all right. And but have you checked?
Um, I'm fairly confident that I'm overestimating it a little bit. Because I, yeah, I I carried an Excel with all my expenses in Germany, but I didn't follow that on Chile. But I think I do cover it with 1,000 or a little bit
Okay,
more.
all right. And is your girlfriend comfortable with that? Is that the lifestyle that she's comfortable with?
For the moment being, she understands that's the beginning, and but we also want to live more comfortable if we want, if we can.
Okay, all right. And do you need a separate place to run your business, or do you do it online? Your nutritional consultation business.
For the moment being, I do it online, or I go to the home of the patients, or I do it in the sports facility because I'm an athlete as well. So I do. My clients are athletes sometimes.
Oh, okay, so you do some sports stuff too. Okay, great.
Mhm.
Okay, so help me understand what your question is. I mean, it sounds like you've got a handle on it. You can build your business. You just need, you know, 2 to 3 times more clients. You know, maybe take a little bit of money from your mom just to make sure you can get settled in, and you're good to get started. So,
I think
how,
yeah. If I tell you if you tell it like this, I think I have it handled. But I sometimes worry about myself because I think I'm trying to justify myself and I'm trying to make it look like it's working. But then maybe I lose interest, I lose my focus, and then it all goes down.
Sorry,
I don't know.
I don't know what you mean. This is math. This is math. Income
Yeah, yeah,
expenses. It's just math. So if you
yeah,
can get by,
but
if you're already at 300, right?
mhm.
Then you need to get to 1,000. You just need, let's say a little bit of buffer, 3.5 times your client base, right? So you just got to work to get more clients. I mean, you're an athlete, so you're slender, you're in good health, you're fit, that they don't care about your master's degree, probably, right? I mean, maybe you can do that on the side or something like that.
Yeah, that's what I
But
think as well.
well, yeah, I mean, but just God, I mean, you're 32.
In 3 days, yeah.
Hey, almost happy birthday. Okay, so you're 32, and I mean, do you have a hunger for this? You want to build a business? You want to help people eat well and be healthy?
That's the thing as well. I never had this ambition. Never in my whole life. I never been an ambitious person, and that's setting me back. I think.
Well, you know what ambition is?
Not. I wouldn't be able to define it.
Yeah, ambition is fear.
Fear.
Oh,
How
yeah,
so?
absolutely. Absolutely. Ambition is fear.
Can you tell me more about it?
Well, let me ask you this. Have you been fairly coddled as the only child of some spendy parents?
All the time.
Right. So you haven't experienced panic, fear. So you don't have ambition.
Mm, that's true.
So let's talk about. I'm sorry, I'm going to have to give you my Northern European expertise because I don't know what the equivalent is in a warm climate.
Whatever
So
helps.
my ancestors, why were we ambitious as farmers, as hunters? Why were we ambitious? Why did
Because
we hunt and work very hard to grow food?
because the cold and severe winters.
Yeah, smart guy, right? Yes, absolutely. Because if we don't do it, we're going to fucking starve to death, right? So
Hmm.
the ambition to be a good hunter and a good farmer arises out of fear of what?
Of dying.
Of starvation, right? If you have an ambitious general, he wants to win the battle, right? He's got a great ambition to win the battle. Why? What happens if he loses the battle?
He's dead.
Yeah, he could be court-martialed, he could be strung up, he could be killed, he could be captured. So his ambition is based on what?
Fear.
Right. Right.
So so what? How do I apply that to my situation? Do I have to?
Oh,
Do I
that's
have to
easy.
risk it?
Yeah, that's easy.
Uh huh.
Stop taking money. Do you know how you tell your clients that they have to reduce their calorie intake? Right.
How? What do you mean?
Well, let's say some client comes to you and he's 300 pounds, right?
Right?
And he says, I eat 4,000 calories a day. What are you going to say to him?
He has to stop.
Well, he has to reduce his calories, right?
Right?
Right. So you have to
Mm,
reduce your dependence on mommy. You can't be a father with authority and a dependent son at the same time, right?
that's true. That's true. That's why I'm trying. I'm trying.
No, no. See, trying is bullshit. Have to. That's life. When I was
Mm.
younger and I wrote my first real book, I told people about it. I was in doing my master's degree, and I just spent the last year writing Revolutions, my first real book. So I wasn't bragging, but people said, well, what did you do? Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, oh, well, I wrote this book. And it's like, you know what people always said to me? Oh, I've always wanted to write a book. But nobody who wants to do something does anything. You have to do it.
And in order to do it, you have to fear.
Yeah,
Mm.
absolutely. Do you know how terrified I am of wasting my potential? It's gut wrenching. Do
Wow.
you know how terrified I am that philosophy remains a bullshit discipline that people laugh at until the end of time? Do you know how terrified I am of how evil the world becomes without a rational system of ethics? Do you know how terrified I am of the fall of the West, the destruction of the economy, the rampaging of the poor? the clash of races and cultures, the victory of communism. Fear, brother, is a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing.
Well, you told me once that because my ancestors lived in warm climates, so it being Spaniards or Native Americans, I have this genetic predisposition to not have a lot of fear. Could that be?
Well, so the fear that your ancestors had was of warring tribes. Now, the fear that my ancestors had was nature. I mean, also the warring tribes, the bloody Vikings. But the fear that my ancestors had was predictable and you could act on it. Now, the fear that your ancestors had was of warring tribes, so you had to be a warrior and you had to have good weapons and you had to practice fighting and formations and all of that sort of stuff. But it doesn't really matter with regards to your ancestors or my ancestors. What matters is that you are trying to live a life without fear. And do you know what happens if you live a life without fear? You get something much worse than fear. Do you know what that is? I bet you do.
Maybe it's something akin to hell?
Well, I think it is. So let me ask you this. Would you rather have fear that you could act on or anxiety that you couldn't act on?
I'd rather have fear.
Yes, that's right. It's a very masculine and noble answer. Of course, we would rather have fear because fear is your fight or flight. You can act on it. Anxiety is, I don't know, maybe I'm not good enough, and just kind of gnaws at you and it doesn't lead anywhere. It's like this weird fog that kind of eats away at your skin but doesn't kill you, and it's horrible. And I'm sorry, but as a man, that's your choice, fear or anxiety, because fear will drive you to do great things. And then you will experience relief from fear for a while, which is good, because then you enjoy your success and then you worry if it's just a one-time thing. Like think of musicians, right? Think of musicians. So a musician, they write their songs, they play their gigs and all that. And let's say they have a hit, right? A hit song. That's the greatest thing ever, right? And they're happy, right? They're afraid they're not going to make it. So they work really hard and then they produce a great song, right? And then they're happy for a while, right? And then what happens?
Then they get into the mood swings. They get down. They have to produce something as good as they did.
Yeah, what if I can only do one?
Right.
That's terrifying, because what if you're a one-hit wonder and you've had a taste of being a rock star, but you can't sustain it? Oh, God. I mean, that's almost worse than never succeeding at all, is to succeed only once, right? So they have their fear that drives them to produce great work. They produce great work, and then they enjoy it for a while, and then they get fearful again. Can I do it again? Will my next album be as good? If I do the same thing, it'll be boring. If I try new things, I might do Queen's Heart Space and flop, at least the first side, right? So then you get your fear back again, and then the fear drives you to do something great.
So you have to put skin on the game.
Yeah. Because fear can be managed and fear can be conquered with success. Anxiety can't be beaten, can't be conquered, because it keeps you out of the arena. It keeps you off the battlefield. It keeps you out of the boxing ring. You go into the boxing ring, you'll win, you'll lose. It happens in life. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, right? And you'll land some punches, you'll feel good. People will punch you, you'll feel bad. There's an up and down, right? And the more you're afraid of losing, as let's say you're a boxer, right? And you're really terrified of losing, what do?
You strive to win.
You train.
Right.
You train like crazy. I can't lose, so you train. So the fear of losing drives you to greatness. And then you achieve something great and you're happy for a while. And that's good. I mean, if we didn't get discontented again, we'd still be living in caves. So you are avoiding fear, which means you're avoiding greatness, or the contentedness that comes from risking and succeeding.
So can I ask you some more practical advice on that matter then? Because how do I risk it? How do I deal with it? Because I know.
Stop taking. I already gave you the practical advice. Stop taking mommy's money.
Yeah, but it's more than about that, because it's like a mental feeling. I know mentally inside my very deep inside maybe that my mother will always be for me, even if I don't ask for her money, because she's always trying to protect me. She's an overprotective mother.
Okay, but that
So
requires your participation. It's not. She's not locked you in a dungeon. You're not in a gimp box, right? This
yeah,
requires your participation.
but it feels like the drugs, man, sometimes. So maybe you quit sometime, but you always know that the hit is one word away.
Right.
It's
Right. So
right.
you have to be afraid of going back to your mother. See, you view it as a source of comfort, like a safety net, right? But you
Right.
have to be afraid of going back to your mother because you're a man in his
Mm,
30s and you're already a father.
right.
So stop taking mommy's money. And how does mommy have all this money anyway? Did she get it from your father?
No, she worked. She had a very good salary as in the health industry.
Okay. All right. So that's good. Okay. So the fear is, I mean, come on, man. What does your wife think of the fact that you're living off mommy's money?
We don't like it. That's why I started this new project. I'm trying, but I I have
But you're not
doubts.
scared enough.
Yeah, that's what I figured out now that you told me that. I have to be scared. I have to be fearful.
So I'll tell you a story about myself because it can help to understand, right?
Hmm.
So very short, like I had a great job making good money, enjoyed it, software executive, highfalutin, high flying, lots of great business travel, a good job, liked it, knew what I was doing. And I took a 75% pay cut, or more, in fact, to start podcasting, right?
Hmm.
And I said, no ads, no ads on my website, no ads in my podcast. I'm just going to raw dog it. I'm going to rely on donations, right? Now, very shortly after, and you know what I said to myself? I said, hey, you know what? I'm going to give it my all because that's kind of what I do. I'm going to give it my all. And I loved philosophy so much, I was scared that it wasn't going to work. But I said, I'm going to give it my all. But, hey, if it doesn't work out, I can just go back to the business world, right? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Because I had a good reputation in the business world. I had lots of people who wanted to hire me and so on, right? So, anyway, so very shortly after I started my show, I got attacked in a pretty coordinated mainstream media way. I was in a wide variety of newspapers as a terrible cult leader, guru guy, right?
Was that before you got famous, or was it after?
No, this is before.
Okay.
Now, what that meant was I could no longer go back to the business world, right?
Hmm.
Does that
Yes.
make sense?
Yes, it makes sense.
So the media made me a much better philosopher. Do you know what I mean?
What changed in you? Exact
No, no. Do you know
practically.
what? Hang on, hang on. Do you know what I mean when I say the media, by attacking me, made me a much better philosopher?
They made you lose your base, your source of support, your comeback. You If it failed, you could go to the business world, and but you cannot do that anymore.
Yeah, they cut off my escape route. They cut off any way back, any way out. I
So
mean,
what
even
did
a
that
rat becomes a brave fighter when it's cornered, right? When there's no escape, right? If
right?
you're running from a bunch of people who want to beat you up and you can escape, you'll try to escape. If you can't escape, what do? You turn and fight,
Fight or flight.
right?
Hmm.
Right. So the media was part of, if I were to say God or the universe's will, to say, stop fucking around and be a real philosopher. No, you don't get this escape route anymore. You are now committed, right?
So that's my question. What changed practically on you after that happened? Did you become more of a cult leader, so to say? I'm joking, but
Yeah, not super funny. So, no, what I did was I said, okay, all right. So this is where the culture is. It's, pretty evil. But what I need to do is I need to start two things. One, I need to start interviewing experts so people don't think these are just my ideas. So I started a whole series of interviewing experts, which became very popular. And number two, I need to deal with politics. I need to deal with current events.
You weren't dealing with that before, the attack from media. Okay.
Right. That's right. I mean, a little bit, but it wasn't. I started True News not too long after this. Because I wanted to ignore politics, but politics was not ignoring me. So I don't want to make this about me, but what I'm saying is that it was scary to have my route back cut off. And it's kind of funny because if the media had just been kind of grouchy, maybe I would have gone back to the business world saying, oh, this is kind of a hassle. This is right. But because they were so nuts in their accusations, I had to become really, really good at what I did. I had to become a really good fighter because they were coming at me and there was no way out of the dead end.
That makes sense.
So I thank the media. I thank the media for what they did. Like they really helped me be committed, right?
So I wonder
So
if
you've
I
got an
have.
escape. So the reason I'm saying, the reason I'm saying this is you've got an escape room because I can hear the but, like all of this shit that goes on in your head, right? So you've got an escape route called mommy.
Yes.
So you sit down with your mom and say what?
The thing is that I cannot support my family still with the money that I have, so I have to tell her somehow that
Bullshit. Are you
I'm
saying
not.
that if your hang on? Are you saying that if your mother died tomorrow and you had no access to her money for whatever reason, like the house is in limbo, you can't sell it, it takes forever to organize, she dies interstate, like no will or whatever, right? For whatever reason, right? Your mother dies tomorrow. Are you going to starve to death?
I see it now. Yeah, I see it now.
You see what I'm saying? Of course you wouldn't. Would you just turn and say, well, honey, it's been fun, but we're just going to have to expire in the gutter here. If your mother died tomorrow and you got not a penny from her, what would you do?
Get a job. However,
I don't know what
whatever.
You'd hustle like hell to get more clients, right?
Right.
You get off your ass and you'd panic, right? Panic is a beautiful thing. Fear is a beautiful thing.
Yeah, I see it now.
So you sit down with your mother and you say, Mom, your help has been fantastic, but also dangerous. I need you to stop giving me money. It's not helping. And listen, I love where it comes from. It's wonderful that you've tried to help me. I really appreciate that. But I'm a father now. I got to take care of my own household, and I really need you to stop giving me money. And even if I come to you, please say no. Or at the most dangerous, lend it to me for a week until I can get more clients or something like that. But you sit down with your mom and you thank her and you say, like, I'm going to stop asking and please stop offering. Like, because your money's kind of like a drug, right? And it's been helpful, but it's also been, not helpful because there's no way I would have pissed away 12 years in education if I was paying for it myself, right?
Right.
So it's great, but it's a drug. And I need you to stop enabling. I need you to stop giving me this drug.
Oof. Well, the situation is I'm also living in one of her properties. So do I live? Oof.
Are you just trying to annoy me at this point by going rubber bones on me?
No, thank you, Stefan.
No, don't ask me. You're a grown-ass man in his 30s who's a father of one and shortly to be two children. Stand on your own 2 feet. Pretend that you can't get another penny. Now, do you move out tomorrow? I don't know. But do the mental exercise and say, okay, if this place was going to be sold and I was going to be kicked out in 2 months, what would I do? I'd panic. Good. Because not panicking just breeds anxiety. And anxiety paralyzes. Fear and panic energize.
Yeah,
I just finished a book. I think it's really good. I don't know. Anyway, so because I'm trying something new. Because if I keep doing the same thing as I've done before, it's kind of boring. But when I try something new, maybe it doesn't work. Yeah, well.
But that's because you still have this fear. Still, you strive to improve and do better. And
Sure. Because I'm terrified of wasting my potential.
Mm-hmm.
As are you. As are we all. because we all know so many people have wasted their potential, pissed it away,
Thank you,
done
Stefan.
10% of what they could. So I hope that helps.
I hope that helps too. I see it clear now. I have to fear. I have to fear. I won't
Embrace
forget
the
that.
fear. Yeah. Embrace the fear. And everything that reduces fear in your life reduces your capacity for greatness.
It's true.
Because conquering fear is the eternal male path to excellence. Fear is the whetstone upon which we sharpen the swords of our willpower. You have to conquer fear and then embrace fear, and then conquer fear and then embrace fear. Fear will find you. You know, one of the reasons I had a change in schedule tonight, so one of the reasons I jumped in to do this show was I was afraid of leaving the world short an hour and a half of philosophy. And I'm really glad I did, because I think this is a very important conversation, not just for you, but for others. Yeah, I was told to avoid fear. Now, avoiding fear is a female preference. Embracing fear is a male need.
I have to be a male. I am a male.
Well, because you know how it works with kids, right? When your kids get older, and you'll know this is coming up because you have a son, right? So when you have a kid and your kid wants to jump off a wall, your son, right? What's his mother going to say?
Don't do it.
Don't do it. What are you going to say as the dad?
Try it carefully.
If you think he can do it.
Be careful, but do it.
Yeah, go for it. Go for it. Add this sort of estrogen bubble wrap, claustrophobic, can't do anything. You got to sign 12 forms to do anything. Insurance kills every risk for children. I mean, that's all the female world, and we've gone way too far. Like, why are modern people so anxious? Because we've been kept away from fear by some very positive and helpful female neurosis, but it's gotten way too big. All right, I've got another caller. Is there anything else you wanted to mention?
I just want to thank you, and I hope you have a good show tonight. It gladly helped me, so thank you.
You're very welcome, and congratulations on your family. It's a beautiful thing. All right, thank you for your patience, Michael. If you wanted to ask away, I will do my best to flail with some answers. Oh, I feel like you're about to talk. I feel it deep in my gizzards. Hello, hello. Are you muted? You are muted.
Oh, I unmuted myself. Sorry about that.
That's all right.
That was a very good last call. I think it kind of points out a lot of issues that a lot of men are having nowadays. It got pretty real there, and I thought it was pretty interesting. My original reason for calling wasn't so deep, though. I just saw Andrew Wilson shout you out yesterday on a podcast, and he was talking about how you were wrongfully banned. So I thought it was kind of cool to see that he was also a listener of you. I was wondering if you knew who he was, and then what your opinions on him were.
Yeah, of course I know who he is. The
Okay.
chain smoking, always in a Stygian darkness, uber Christian troll of Hoboken. So,
Yeah,
Hoboken,
yeah.
I think that's a town in America. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen one or two of his debates, and I've seen, of course, it's hard to be on X without seeing whatever snippets floating past your feed at least for me. I'm sure it's different for others, and yeah, he's a passionate, powerful guy. Obviously, a little bit on the abrasive side, which is, obviously. Well, I shouldn't say obviously. It's a little bit to my tender British race sensibilities. Well, he's a little bit in your face, a little bit pushy, don't you know? But no,
Yeah.
obviously, very, very passionate about things, and takes on all comers, and makes very strong arguments, and very devoted to the cause. And I would like to send him $8 to buy a couple of candles, so he could not be in this sort of Stygian, semi-hellish, Mephistophelian darkness whenever he's on TV. But no, I mean,
That's
very,
part of
very.
the allure, though, a little bit, right?
I guess, yes. Calling to you from Gollum's cave. It is. And he's got a wife, Rachel, if I remember rightly, who is also very passionate and has commented, I think, once or twice on my threads. So yeah, I mean, he seems like a pretty intense guy, very intelligent, very well read, and he's one of these guys. And this is one thing I really like about people is because I was just asked about Nick Fuentes today too. But one of the things that I like about people is when they have a surprising array of knowledge. I remember there was this guy when I was in theater school. Oh my gosh! I mean, he was like good at everything. Like, he was a good dancer, he had a great singing voice, he had great hair, and it was one of these things where somebody was having a problem with a camera because we were using it to record ourselves to see how we did with sword fighting when we were slowed down. And he's like, "Oh, I know a little bit about cameras and f-stop this," and it's just like, okay, is there anything you don't know? And I think that was kind of cool. And he's one of these people who, at least from what I've seen, and maybe the clips are a little bit selective, but he really does have a wide array of knowledge and arguments, and can rattle off he can rattle off logical fallacies like, Aristotle's long lost
Well, yeah,
Stygian darkness
I watched
smoking
a lot
sun.
of his full clips, and when you watch the actual full debates, that's another thing I can appreciate about him too. Is the positions are very well thought out, and he's gone in the weeds and in the cracks and crevices of every position he has. So when
Mhm.
people come back at him, he already understands all their rebuttals and then how to dismantle them. So yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yes,
But no, he
and
definitely seems like one of those talented guys that you were describing, for sure,
yeah,
for
I
sure.
think he's good at obviously a lot of different things. And, he is one of these, Uncle Cranky Pants, sandpaper up the ass, doesn't suffer fools gladly, which I appreciate. And I think he's doing a very good job of attempting to push back again. Now, so 'cause, some of the crazy stuff. Of course, some people say, "Oh, well, he's on the whatever podcast, and these are not exactly trained debaters," and so on. But he has obviously gone up against people of some pretty significant intellectual caliber, and I would say more than held his own. And I think he's
Well,
he's
you
definitely
mentioned
a righteous force.
you mentioned Nick Fuentes before too, and I think they're part of kind of a big wave of people trying to end degeneracy and go back to more like conservative values and people living with virtue and ethics. They're based on Christianity, but I thought the cool thing he was talking about you yesterday is because I think you're one of the people that initially started that wave, and I got hooked like a lot of other people did with the video of the story of your enslavement. But
Mm.
I think that, well, I mean, obviously that's why they banned you, but I think
Oh
that
no, it wasn't the
wave
story
is
of your enslavement that got me. It was in another
no, no,
that
no,
got
no.
me
I mean,
banned. But yeah, yeah.
that you were initially part of the wave that was preaching virtue and philosophy and um UPB and all those sorts of things. But yeah, so that was my point.
Well,
Um,
I think
oh, go ahead.
Andrew. Yeah. So I myself, obviously, to some degree, there were a lot of people sort of back in the day. Kevin Samuels was one of them. Jesse Lee Peterson is another. Nick Fuentes, of course. Andrew Wilson, and it's just like, what do you mean we can't talk about it? What do you mean we
Yeah.
can't talk about it? That's incredibly suspicious. What do you mean we
Well,
can't talk about this or that or the other or X or Y or Z? What do you mean we can't talk about it? Why the fuck not? Why
well,
can we not talk about it?
if
Why
you
can't
bring
we
up the
talk about IQ, right? Why can't we talk about female evil? Why can't we talk about child abuse in a way that's actually actionable? Like, why can't we talk about these things? And yeah, I mean, there's a certain personality that is, the you look at the taboos of the tribe and you look at the problems of the tribe and you say, I bet you these two are related. I bet you the solution to our chronic problems, it must lie in the things we cannot talk about. Because if the problems are chronic, it means a solution can't be found. If a solution can't be found, it means people aren't able to discuss it. So maybe, just maybe, the solutions are in that which is taboo. Right? Like,
well,
maybe one of the solutions to racial conflict is understanding IQ, so we can all step back, not take it personally, realize that nature is challenging and it's nobody's fault, and we can just talk about it rationally. Like, what if the solutions to our intractable problems lies in the taboos, and the taboos are there because there are some people who profit from the problems not being solved. Like, what if single mothers are not just eternal victims? What if? What if you don't just have to praise women all the time, could actually criticize them, right?
yeah.
And so, like, what if corporations are actually fascistic legal fictions to allow rich people to get away with murder? Like, just what if? What if, right? And
Well, what I was
what if
thinking
the
about when
yeah,
you were saying what I was thinking about when you were saying all these things about the taboos and not being able to point them out is if people are profiting and maintaining and hoarding power because of the taboos and it's enriching them, then they're obviously going to shut up the people who are going to kill their bottom line and kill their power if these
Yeah, I
ideas were
mean,
dismantled.
like this is one of the things. Having grown up among the poor, yes, there are some poor. It's unfortunate, and it's not particularly their fault. They just had a whole series of bad things happen to them, and they were unable to overcome them despite trying. But that's a tiny minority of the poor. A lot of the people who are poor because they just relentlessly make bad decisions and are too vain to take any coaching or correction. And
and are lazy too.
Well, but that's part of the sort of bad decisions, right?
Okay.
That's part of the bad decisions. And of course, the government loves having the poor because the poor will always vote for more government. And so the government is not at all interested in solving the problem of poverty. In fact, they're interested in increasing the number of poor people. It's like the poor people are addicted to government money, and the government is addicted to the political power given to them by people who are poor who vote for more government. So it's a sick, twisted codependency that spirals into the end of civilization if we don't sort it out. So maybe.
Well, isn't that why the founders isn't that why the founders made it so only the people who had a stake in the country could vote?
Well, sure. I mean, you had to be a white male landowner, right? And forget the white part, but I mean the landowner for sure, and the male part of the landowner for sure. I mean, if you don't have property, why would you vote to protect property? Because if you don't have property, you'll vote to take away other people's property. So this is why there are these arguments. Sorry?
Oh, sorry. The whole system now, it's basically what you just said about the people who are dependent on the government voting to get more money from the government. So it's an endless welfare state with the people who are destroying the government voting the most for the government. So that's kind of why we're collapsing.
Right. So I mean, there is a basic question, which is, why can't we talk about these things? Why can't we bring up these subjects? Why is it such a taboo to talk about certain topics? And look, it's one thing if your society is doing really well, like people's incomes are rising, technology is rising, education is improving, families are strong, you have a high birth rate. Like if your society is flourishing, then I think people are more willing to say, okay, well, if there's these taboos, given how well we're doing, it's probably for a good reason, right? But when your society is literally falling apart at the seams, and you say, well, maybe it's this or maybe it's that, and people are like, you can't talk about that. And it's like, but why not? I mean, why not? I mean, things are falling apart. Why are there taboo topics when everything's failing? If everything's failing, there should be no taboo topics. Because one of the reasons why everything's failing is we're getting something wrong. We're getting things foundationally wrong in the world.
Absolutely.
And if we're getting things foundationally wrong in the world and things keep getting worse, then almost for certain it's the taboo topics that need to be discussed. If that makes sense.
No, that's a great point.
And then all the powers that be who are profiting from the decline, you can make a lot of money from shorting an entire civilization. You can short a stock, which is where you make money if it goes down. And
the best time to buy, according to like historical investors, is after the market collapses and crashes, because things will eventually get built back up. But now you're getting everything at prices that people would never have sold them for if it wasn't a crash.
Right. And the communists, the totalitarians, what do they call them? The globalists? I've never known exactly what that means. But the communists and the totalitarians, they are shorting society. They want it to fail. They want it to crash. It's why they screw with the currency. It's why they import lots of low-wage workers to screw up the economy. It's why they restrict the growth of new houses to drive up the housing prices. It's why they constantly preach antinatalism. It's why they put out all this fucked up modern art. It's why they attack everyone's history and heritage so you don't feel like you have anything to be proud of and defend.
Yeah.
It's why they screw up the educational system so much. It's why they constantly praise women and denigrate men to turn the sexes against each other and lower the birth rate. It's why they empty out all of the asylums and the prisons and have all the crazy and all the crazies and the criminals roam the streets. So people live in a state of perpetual fear and anxiety, so they can't stand up for themselves. It's why they have ill-defined hate speech laws so that nobody knows what the hell you can or can't say. It's why they have arbitrary attacks and punishments. It's why, anyway, we sort of go on and on. But yeah, they're shorting the entire civilization. They wanted to fail. They wanted to collapse. So out of the ashes, they can take dominance, and people will run to their protection rather than live in the sort of apocalyptic Kurt Russell escape from New York, perhaps literally soon, hellscape that's being created by all
it's
these
like
bad
that
policies.
in some it's like that here in some places in the United States. I live in Southwest in a bigger city, and you don't want to walk around some places at night. It's drug
Sure.
zombies all over, and I've seen only the pictures in California, and it's not as bad as that, but um, it's I have family from Brazil, so I got very into learning why Brazil was such a shithole and so crime ridden. Everything was so expensive there, and then nobody made money. So I got really big into studying like a lot of from you and Milton Friedman, and a lot of different economic principles on why that happened. And America's kind of becoming. I mean, I think I haven't been keeping up with you lately, so I'm not sure what your current opinions on Trump are. I know you've kind of stayed away from politics, but I know Trump's kind of done a lot to stop the complete collapse so far.
Yeah.
But it's been like in Brazil. It's you'll have very very rich people living next to people in the favelas, in the shack houses
shanty
where they're
towns.
stealing.
Shanty
Yeah,
towns.
exactly, where they're stealing electricity, and America's becoming a lot more like rich and poor, like the middle class has died. So everything you said is just, I think, pointing out why that problem has happened and acknowledging it. So yeah, that's cool that it got to that.
Yeah, I remember many years ago driving with a guy I worked with in Detroit. We were in Detroit and we were there to do a business presentation, and we drove in the night before. And this is long before GPS, and we had this map and so on. And the guy I was directing from the map, like how to get to the hotel. And for those of you who've always had GPS, you don't know how horrible it was to try and figure this stuff out in the past. And anyway, so we were in a pretty sketchy section of Detroit. And he's like, well, which way do we go? Left or right? We were getting kind of impatient because it had been a long day of travel and we were tired and we had an early morning meeting. We need to get our sleep. And I reached up and I turned the light on. The little light in the front of the car, like in the passenger side, so I could read the map. And he's like, turn it off. And I was like, what? Why? He's like, because we're in a bad section of town, and if we have the light on and we're looking at a map, they know that we're tourists. They know that we're not from here. They know that we're, and he was just completely freaking out. And it's like, wow, that's wild, man. And he, I'm not saying he was wrong. It was just something I'd never really considered.
Oh no, I've been in some sketchy towns and situations because I did sales jobs where we traveled, and so I had a lot of similar things. Like they would move us into apartments for a couple months that were like lower income, and you didn't even want to walk outside in the neighborhood at night. Like it was pretty sketchy areas. Even in Brazil, I've been robbed and jumped a couple different times just for being in the wrong area at the wrong time. There was one more thing I wanted to point out though before you let me go. Have you ever heard of peptides?
Peptides, a nutritional supplement?
So I had a torn meniscus in my knee, and they told me I needed surgery on it. But I used peptides and it healed. It's like regenerative medicine. It's kind of the future of medicine. I know you're going to be very skeptical about that, but basically what it does, your body has all these chemicals and signals that it uses to heal itself. These are just the amino acid signals to have it heal itself. And there's a guy you can look into. I'll post it in the comments. Is Dr. Trevor Bachmeyer.
Sorry, why are we talking about healing cartilage? Or like, I'm not sure why. It's a philosophy show.
Well, it's anti-aging, and you have a great mind, so I would like to share it with you so you can stay as healthy and young as possible.
I see.
Yeah,
Okay,
so I was just before you let me go, I just wanted to drop that for you. So
I appreciate that. Peptides, I will hand it over to my health administrator, my wife.
Trevor Bachmeyer. He's the one.
Bachmeyer. All right.
Yeah, he's 52 and he's been through cancer 4 times, not because of peptides, but once you see him, you'll understand. Okay.
Got it.
All right. Thank you, Stefan. You have a great night.
Thanks, man. All right. Thanks. Sorry, Jacob. I'm going to bypass this, go with Fiona. And I'm certainly happy to hear your thoughts, my friend. If you want to unmute, I'm all ears.
I have unmuted. I don't know what you want to talk about. I'm happy to talk about how women are crazy. Although I'm perfectly correct about everything in every way.
Right. Okay. Okay.
We could talk about when our statement is true. I'm perfectly happy to talk about either.
I'll let you choose.
I guess I quite like to talk about the fact that all these women seem to be doing things that to me just seem incredibly crazy. It's very strange looking at the rest of your gender and just going, I don't know why you would do any of these things. I think, and also looking at it and going, why don't I feel the same way as you?
You mean as the other women?
Yeah.
Right.
It's like they're so very, very sure. And if you say, I'm not quite sure that's correct, they'll just absolutely jump down your throat. But they have no evidence and no particular reasons. They just have a feeling that it's like, if this is true, it would be nice and it would make me really happy. Therefore, it's going to be true, is pretty much as far as I've managed to get down the thought process.
Now, if you had to sort of pick a couple of areas where you think modern women are making the most or the biggest errors, what would you say?
Communism is the one that really scares me, to be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got half the population that is jumping down a rabbit hole that has no bottom. And
It's got a bottom.
Find
It's just at the bottom full of bodies.
Yeah, I mean, it's never worked. It's never been okay, and it always leads to horrible things. And it's so obvious that if you take everything from the group of people who are producing stuff, that they're going to stop producing stuff, and your civilization is just going to collapse.
Right.
I mean, one tiny thought experiment, you can go, if you take everything from these people and give it to these people, then why would those people do anything?
Right. And one of the things I think that's kind of true about a lot of modern women is they have grown up incredibly privileged. From school, where they're constantly praised. Oh, why can't you sit nicely like little Sally does? Or why do you have, like, the boys give the girl teachers a headache and the girls are just nice and all of that. And I've mentioned this before, but I remember when I was growing up, the girls were just incredibly privileged. We would divide the gym into two areas sometimes, and the girls would do dance and the boys would do wrestling. And I got some knee or elbow to the face. My tooth was loose. My mouth was filled with blood. And I remember this, Willie, the groundskeeper, Scottish guy. Hey, you're fine. Walk it off, kid. And he's like poking around in my mouth like I'm about to get some sort of gum infusion of infinite tobacco stains or something like that. And I remember I took a break and I was just, wanted to see what the girls were doing. So I peered around the edge of the divider. And there was a girl who was leaping and dancing, and she fell, and everyone ran over. Are you okay, Emily? Are you okay? Do you need to go to the nurse? Can you walk in? Try putting a little bit of weight on it. And I was just like, okay, it's a different planet over there. It's a different planet over there. And so girls are just massively praised. And, this is the story of the Garden of Eden and the Satan serpent and so on. Like, the girls are just massively praised. And then, of course, the girls are deferred to by the boys because the boys want to date them. So they have to sort of say, oh, yes, no, astrology. Yeah, I can see how that might work, because they don't want to, right? And failing girls is considered to be really, really bad. Failing boys is fine. But if you fail girls, well, the girls are being left behind. They're falling behind. So you've got to give them grade inflation, and you've got to teach them the stuff that they like to learn about. And you've got to teach the kids in a way that the girls really like, because heaven forbid you fail girls. That's just a catastrophe and sexist, and failing boys doesn't matter, and all the boys get put on SSRIs and all the sugar and spice and all things nice. It's just an ancient problem of deferring to women, or at least in the West. I don't think Islam has quite that issue, to put it mildly. But yeah, deferring to women is really tough, because when women are young, well, when they're girls, they're deferred to by teachers, and often by mothers and fathers will defer more to the girls than to the boys. And I mean, the fathers view the girls as, sugar and spice and all things nice, and the boys have monstrous little challenges. And then in the media, it's constantly reinforced that the girls are wonderful, the girls are right, the girls are wise, and the boys are smelly and lazy and scratch themselves and don't work and are dumb and all of that sort of stuff. And that sort of Thelma and Louise thing. She's going out with some guy for a long time, and then she covers his face and says, "What color are my eyes?" "Oh, I don't know." That kind of thing. Or you see these interviews on the street where there's a mom and a dad, and they ask the dad, "Okay, well, what's the name of your daughter's orthodontist? Or what's the name of your daughter's doctor? Or what's the name of your daughter's dance coach?" Or he doesn't know any of these things because he's a guy. He's dealing with other things. But the women all know it, and this means that the women are smart and caring, and the guys are dumb and vacant. And it's constant praise. And then it promotes this vanity. Like, those who with the gods would destroy, they make vain. Because vanity means you're immune to correction. And I mean, I'm sure you've seen this. I do see you, I think, floating around a little bit on social media. What happens when I try to correct a woman? What happens if I tell a woman that she's wrong? I mean, you brute.
Misogynist, you.
Yeah, and it's from the men and the women, right? Because the women are all yelling at me because I'm correcting a woman, and women are perfect. And the men are all yelling at me because they're hoping to get in good with the girls and all of that. So yeah, it is a brutal thing. And then if you grow up, well, you can't grow up if you can't take correction. You can't grow up if you can't take correction, because you just have your initial prejudices and you think you're perfect. And so it is the most harmful thing to overpraise anyone. To overpraise anyone is the most harmful thing. And to keep people from the consequences of their actions. I guess, like the guy from Chile earlier, it can be really destructive on your soul and your strength. Because they say women are strong. It's like, okay, well, I agree, women are strong, so take some criticism. Because, men are supposed to be this all-powerful. Men are all-powerful, and men can be criticized. It's like, well, maybe men's power has something to do with the fact that we take criticism. So we correct path, we correct course, we improve. And if you can't take criticism, you just can't grow up. There's a lot of people, I don't agree with it foundationally. There's a lot of people who say, well, women are somewhere between, they stop maturing around the age of 15, or they're halfway between toddlers and adults because blah, blah, blah. I don't think that's innately true, but I think that if you can't accept criticism and you can't grow and you don't have humility, then you do stay like a child, because you don't learn to adapt to people's knowledge who know better. And men do this all the time when we're younger, right? You suck, you got to get better, and you get all this rough feedback until you improve and so on. And girls are sort of sheltered and nurtured and praised and deferred to. And then this happens in the dating world, particularly for the more attractive women. And then the politicians are the worst of all. Politicians will never say anything negative to women because you cannot win without the female vote. You cannot win without the female vote. And so you defer, as there's no politician who's said anything harsh to any woman as long as I've been alive that I can remember. I mean, maybe the female politician, but certainly no successful politician. You criticize women, you cannot hold political office at all. And so the politicians, it's absolute slaves to female vanity. And if you get too much vanity, it just tips straight over into narcissism. And I think that is tough. It's not so much that people are wrong. I mean, everyone's wrong from time to time. It's a question of, can you be corrected? And, try, this is my famous Taylor Swift tweet from, I think it was 2019 or something like that, where, I was praising Taylor Swift. I think she'd be a fun mom, but, I hope that she becomes a mom. Like, she's 30 now, so like 90% of her eggs are gone. And I hope that she decides to become a mom. I think she'd be a fun mom. And I think she would be. And that's just pointing out a basic fact. Oh my gosh, the explosion of female rage and narcissistic entitlement and aggression and insults and blah, 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 blah. Why are you creepy old man obsessing about Taylor Swift's eggs? It's like, hey, I'm praising Taylor Swift. I'm just pointing out a basic biological fact. And it's just a wild thing to experience, this sort of triggered by facts thing. I can understand, if I go up to someone's, some woman and her beloved husband, and I say, oh, he's such an a-hole or something like that, I can understand her being sort of annoyed or, nonplussed by that. But it's like, this is just a basic fact that 90% of your eggs are gone by the time you're 90. And it's like, well, sperm ages too. It's like, yeah, but not really at the same rate. I mean, so it's not quite the same deal. A man can have kids into his 80s, but a woman is mostly done by 40. So yeah, so it's just this bit where it's this, it's like the sort of story of the sort of the vicious prince who's been constantly pampered and deferred to his whole life and has grown up to be sort of a cruel narcissist because nobody ever said no to him. Nobody ever told him he was wrong. And so he just becomes this sort of vain, cruel, narcissistic, vicious, blah, blah, blah. And I think that, it's very easy to drive people mad. Just don't correct them and praise them for everything they do. And it's just awful. Can you imagine, like, if you have a coach, you're trying to learn gymnastics, and you've got a coach who says everything you do is perfect. You'd never learn gymnastics at all. In fact, you'd probably injure yourself. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, any system. If you've got any controlled system, any system with the feedback, if you break the feedback mechanism, it will just become unstable and just go off. I mean, that's what happens. I mean, those I think there was one in Goat Simulator was really famous for a few years ago, where they didn't quite get the physics right, and if you hit a goat in a particular way, it would just fly off madly.
Oh, and you could get. I played that with my daughter. You could get tangled in the merry-go-round as well, and have your goat legs stretch forever. It was actually quite hilarious. Yeah.
Yeah. It's basically the same thing happening in physics. Is that if you take away the feedback mechanism, if you take away the way that reality interacts with people, because we can only perceive reality, and we only know what's going on if people tell us. And if you break that, then there's no way that people can do anything. So you get a whole load of people who think they're absolutely wonderful but can't really do anything. I mean, you're talking about all these women saying, "Oh yes, I know the name of this person," but I bet they can't change a tire, or
right.
or program a computer, or all of the things that men hang up a picture. Some things that are really trivial to men. And it isn't kind to take that away from people, to take away. I mean, you were talking earlier about potential and how you don't want to squander your potential. If you take away from people their ability to know what reality is, then you're just taking away their ability for their potential of what they could be. All these women who are horrible narcissists because everybody praises them all the time could be extremely happy with a man, having wonderful children, living a life that's incredibly fulfilled. And instead, they're all wondering why all the men are awful.
Well, and that's because a lot of times the primary value that women bring to the table is sexual access. They don't necessarily bring deep knowledge or wisdom or great conversation or a good sense of humor or deep knowledge of some subject or great. They've read great literature or anything like that. They're just like the woo girls, like woo, like the arms up and all of that sort of stuff. And they drink too much and they're in debt and they're kind of loud and obnoxious. But trashy men put up with that so they can have sex. And then what happens is if the primary value that you bring to a relationship is sexual access, you're going to attract trashy men because non-trashy men actually want to be able to have a good conversation because marriage is a whole lot of not having sex. I gotta tell you, I mean, I'm very happy with my sex life, but I'll tell you, marriage is a whole lot of not having sex because you got, work, bills to pay, kids to raise, in-laws to the presents to buy, anniversaries. Like it's just a whole lot. And if you're going to have sex 3 or 4 times a week for 20 minutes at a time, that's like 0.1% of your week or something like that. And the other 99.9 is putting up with somebody who's, maybe not that much fun to talk to.
Whole lot of not having sex. Yeah.
Yeah. It is honestly. I mean, it's a whole lot of not having sex. That's just life, right? And that's not a problem. It's a fact. So what happens is if the women just, you've seen these videos, I'm sure, of the women in England rolling around Manchester late at night and all they just, tits out, ass out, spilling out of their dresses and slobbering and drunk. And again, I'm not saying that's not average or typical, but it's certainly a factor. I remember all of that sort of stuff when I was a kid in England. I had a babysitter named Yvonne who was just a knockout. And I remember every time we'd go for a walk somewhere, all the guys would be thumping and yelling at her. And this is the woman who turned to me with a big smile and said, "Oh, it's a wicked, wicked world, Steph." And I remember that smile is like, that's kind of confusing. If it's wicked, why are you smiling? But so, yeah, if it's sexual access that you offer as a woman, not you, but if there's a woman who offers mostly sexual access, then she's just going to attract trashy men for sure. It's like some guy who, hey, man, I'll pay for everyone to go on the private jet. We're going to go to Acapulco for the weekend. And then later complaining, friends just exploit you. And it's like, well, because you keep throwing money around, right? Because you're frightened to see who likes you without your money. And women are often frightened to see who likes them without sexual access. And it's a very, very difficult thing to withhold that, especially if other women are giving it out like candy. So I don't envy the situation of modern women, although it definitely can be exasperating for us all. I don't envy it. It's not a lot of fun. It was a lot easier in the past when women got married young and usually didn't have sex before marriage, or if they had sex, they get married very quickly thereafter. And that certainly made women a lot happier than this mess that's going on at the moment.
Yeah, they all seem to be miserable now. Absolutely miserable.
Oh, and it just gets worse as they age. My gosh. It's just horrible.
Yeah, I mean, at least if you're young, you've got your future to look forward to. I mean, they're all still imagining that they'll get married and have kids. Because I believe the average of how many kids people want to have would give 2.1, 2.3 kids.
Yeah.
It's just not happening now.
Well, and I think that's the Taylor Swift thing was deeply triggering for women who think they've got all this time. And when they see, oh my gosh, 90% of my eggs are dead at 30, and they see men seeing that, right? So a man then looks at a woman, right? And there's this woman who posted on X the other day. She's like, I don't care. 30 is the best age. I'm the hottest I've ever been, or something like that. And I said, look, high quality men are going to look at eggs, not the appearance, because high quality men generally would prefer to have children. I mean, one of the reasons that men work hard to make money is so that they can have a bunch of kids. That's why we have all of this excess productivity as men, so that we can afford a wife and kids. And women who are 30 or over 30, if a man looks at them and says, ooh, only 10% of eggs are remaining, and if I want kids, that's really dicey, blah, 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 that lowers their sexual market value. And for a man, if you have low sexual market value, there's usually stuff you can do. I mean, assuming you're not 70. So if you're like a 30-year-old man and you have low sexual market value, I mean, you can diet, you can exercise it, you can really start to hustle and work and try and up your skills and make money and all of that sort of stuff. So there's stuff you can do to up your sexual market value in your 30s and 40s as a man. But since sexual market value for the kind of men that women want, the kind of men who are, intelligent and make good money and are able to balance risk and reward, they don't necessarily want a woman whose eggs are mostly gone to start dating, right? It's one thing. It's fine if you're already married and, you say, oh, I'm 31, 32, 33. I mean, that's not the end of the world. You have your kids, you can probably get 2, maybe 3. But if you're a woman is 32 or 33 and you're just starting to date, men can do that calculation forward pretty easily. And so that tweet, what it did was it said to women, smart men, look, the men that you want are looking at your eggs, not your body, because they're there to pair bond and start families and have moms for their kids and all that kind of stuff. And when I point that out, there's a panic, which is like, oh my God, did I waste my fertility? Did I have a bunch of trashy guys, one night stands and a high body count, and now men are going to look at me and they're not going to want me, and that's terrifying. I can't imagine. It would be like having made mistakes in my youth that meant I was unemployable from the age of 35 onwards. It's completely terrifying.
It is utterly brutal. I think it's better now. I think that because when I was young, that none of this was known at all, and we were all just sort of going on and thinking women were wonderful, and at least now that people know it and they say it on social media. People don't like to hear it, but at least it is out there, and people do know that these things happen. But yeah, it's absolutely brutal that if you're looking at, you see all these poor women crying on X and various other places that they're 40 and they can't get a husband. And the chances for them are not good. They're just not good.
Well, to be fair, they can get a husband. They just can't get the husband they want.
Yes, but they can never have the kids they want.
Well, no, yeah. So they absolutely they can't have kids. I mean, if you're starting to date at 40, it's like you might as well try winning the lottery. But
I mean,
they
it does
can get a
happen,
husband.
but
They just can't get a wealthy, successful husband, because a wealthy and successful husband mostly wants children, or even if he doesn't want children, he's going to want a younger woman as a whole,
or
right?
he's married now.
Yeah, or he's already married. Yeah,
The other
and it's rough, and I remember those tweets from the 2015, 2016 Twitter period where I'd say, it's a long life from 40 to 80. Like the life that women have from 20 to 40 is not the life they have from 40 to 80. I mean, I don't know if you've seen a picture of Stormy Daniels lately, but it's like 2 miles of bad road, right? And, there's no hate on it. I mean, women age. I don't look like I did when I was 20 or 40 or whatever. But, I'm married, so I've got someone to age with. But it is rough, and the media will resolutely hide these unhappy women from society as a whole. They won't mention it because they don't want to goose the younger women into having a bunch of kids, which is going to mess up their finances and their goals of cultural destruction. So,
And it's just
all
kind
right,
of
I
horrible.
appreciate that. Is there anything else you wanted to mention? And just for those of you who don't know, we've been having a great back and forth, a really important back and forth about truth statements, which I really, really appreciate. It's great
Oh,
thoughts.
thank you. I will pick that up at some point, but I have to run now.
All right.
Lovely to talk to you.
Lovely to talk to you too. Thank you so much. And have yourselves a wonderful evening, everybody. If you find these conversations useful and helpful, freedomain.com/donate. And subscribers get access to my new book. I just finished the audiobook yesterday. Oof, man, that took a lot out of me, but it was well worth it. So have yourselves a wonderful evening. We will speak tomorrow night. And again, to support the show, freedomain.com/donate. Lots of love, my friends. Bye.